The ignition coil is fundamental to the internal combustion process. Ignition coils supply the spark plug electrode with the required ignition voltage and transform the battery voltage from a mere 12 volts to an incredible 15,000 to 30,000 volts. And the coil keeps the spark strong until the air-fuel mixture ignites. Here's how it works. Ignition coils have primary and secondary windings which transform the energy from low voltage, high current energy from the system voltage to high voltage, low current energy. Eventually, this energy is discharged through the spark plug electrodes, igniting the air-fuel mixture. This explosion moves down the pistons and starts the engine. With such an important job to do, a bad ignition coil can cause a number of problems, including engine misfiring, a reduction in gas mileage, increased loading on other ignition system components, and damage to the catalytic converter. Your customer might complain that their vehicle is hard to start, especially in cold or humid weather conditions, or it runs rough, or that it's stuttering or jerking. They even might notice poor radio reception. So what can go wrong with an ignition coil? Well, at first glance, this is a pretty simple component. Ignition coils have no moving parts that can fail or wear out. What's moving inside an ignition coil are electrons and magnetic fields between coils of wire and metal plates cast into epoxy resin. What kills ignition coils is movement and their location. They tend to be mounted in one of the hottest, most vibration-prone and dirtiest parts of the engine, and consequently, they're exposed to high heat, moisture, oil, and rapid temperature changes. The coil windings also can fail due to the large flow of amperage. Something else to keep in mind is that electricity will always want to go to ground through the path of least resistance. For ignition systems, this means energy coming out of the secondary winding will want to create a spark outside the combustion chamber if a low resistance path is present. What this means for your customers is they need an original equipment or OE quality replacement coil that's designed to withstand these extreme operating conditions. Many independent aftermarket parts are made by companies that may have no experience producing OE quality parts. Their goal is to imitate or copy the original design in the least expensive way, often utilizing lower grade materials and lesser standards. When you're recommending replacement ignition coils, be sure to stick with a supplier that has OE experience and proven OE capabilities. For example, Bosch ignition coils for the independent aftermarket are designed, manufactured, and tested to the same standards as the OE coils. Bosch ignition coils are built to OE material specifications, and they're endurance and thermal shock tested per Bosch OE design guidelines, which means they're guaranteed to match vehicle requirements for performance, drivability, fuel economy, and emissions. One failure point you'll find in some ignition coils is that the resin cracks over time, which can lead to misfires. Bosch ignition coils use a long-lasting OE quality resin that helps fight against corrosion and vibration. Many Bosch ignition coils also incorporate an exclusive OE-derived RFI suppression solution to filter and reduce radio frequency interference. When you're recommending replacement ignition coils, the stakes are high for your customers. Cheap, low-quality ignition coils can result in uneven or rough idle with misfires, considerable drop in performance, and an increase in fuel consumption. They can cause damage to the oxygen sensor and catalytic converter and can cause excessive exhaust emissions. Counterfeits can run hot and can even catch fire, and cheap copies can deliver excessive voltage to the ECU, ultimately destroying it. Your best bet is to recommend an ignition coil from a supplier with proven OE experience and a full range of ignition components. Bosch ignition coils provide ample ignition voltage under any condition with high dielectric strength and superior temperature and vibration resistance. And as we mentioned earlier, they're built to achieve or exceed OE specifications. Thanks for watching.